Hi, I'm Kent. Recently, I've been trying to get my slip to have speckles in it. I found myself drawn to speckled clay, and I wanted to try and make it myself. In a previous video, I found two different ingredients I could add to my slip to try and get it speckled, rutile and ilmenite. And I tried adding from 0.025% to 1% into my slip. Here are some of the results. It did get speckled, but the 1%, which are what these are still pretty subtle. So I want to try and ramp it up. So as a quick refresher, here are all the test tiles I made. Let me play a little game. These have 4 different percentages of 2 different types of additives. Which one is the 0.25%? I'll go ahead and let you guess right down in the comments. So we'll count from here, this is 1, all the way up to 8. Which numbers do you think is the 0.25? All right, so if you guessed 4, and if you guessed 7, you are correct. These two have 0.25% in it. All right, let's try that again. Now let's see if you can pick out the 1%. Go ahead and leave a comment down below if you think you know which one is the 1%. So if your answer is 2 or 6, then you are also correct again. So these have a little bit more pronounced effect, but it's still relatively subtle. So in this video, I want to do even more. I'm going to do 2%, 4%, and 8% of both of these and see how that turns out. Okay, I think we have everything set up for my first round of test. Here is my test tile mold. This takes about 100 grams of slip, which has about 70 grams of dry clay in it by weight. I've got my low precision scale that measures higher. I've got my high precision scale to measure the small amounts I'm going to need. I'm going to start with ilmenite, just like I did in my other video. And hanging off to the side, I have my slip, and I'm going to mix it up in this solo cup. So I'm going to do 2%, 4%, and 8%. So that is 3 batches, so I need 300 grams of slip. So let's do that first. All right, 307, close enough. All right, so first I want to test 2%. So to get this 300 grams of slip up to 2% by dry weight of the clay, I need to add 2% of 210. So that's just the clay inside of here. So it would be 4.2 grams. I've got my respirator. I'm going to measure out 4.2 grams and then add it into the slip and mix it up. All right, give this another good stir. And I want to add about 100 grams into my mold. That will just about fill it up. Okay, great. So we'll set this to the side. So we have 200 grams of slip left in here. It's already at 2%, and I want to bring it up to 4%. So I need to add another 2%. So there's 140 grams of dry clay in here. So if I add another 2.8 grams of my additive here, then the 200 grams of slip will be at 4% total. Mix that up nice and good. Got my next mold, so we can go ahead and add it. All right, 97, I'll take that. So I have about 100 grams of slip left. And I want to bring this up to 8%, and it's already at 4%. So I need to add another 4%. So that means there's 70% clay in here, which is 70 grams. So that means we need to add another 2.8 grams to get it up to 8%. Set it nice and well again. I don't have any more molds, so this will go in as soon as the other ones come out. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for rutile. I'm going to do 2, 4, and 8%. That's going to look exactly the same to you, so I'll just speed through it. All right, these have sat overnight and they're well on their way to being bone dry, but aren't quite there yet. I just did a quick trim of them off camera. So this first row here is the ilmenite. This is the 2, the 4, and the 8. And at this point, they don't look any different to me. And back here, the rutile, again, 2%, 4% in the middle, and 8%. And again, they don't look very different. All right, I'll set these off to the side and let them dry out the rest of the way. And next time I do a glaze firing, I'm gonna put these in. I'm not gonna glaze them. I just wanna see what the raw clay looks like with the different additives and see what the speckle effect is. All right, and here are all the test tiles out of the glaze firing. These don't have any glaze on them, but I fired them all the way to cone 6. So this row here is the ilmenite, the 2, 4, and 8%. Hopefully it's obvious that as we go up this way, there's definitely more speckles in it. And here's the rutile, again, 2, 4, and 8. And for comparison, in my previous video, I did 1% and under, and you can definitely see there's a nice continuum between these. This may be a little bit hard for you to see on camera, but these are little black specks and these are little brown ones, so there is a slight color variation. And I think maybe the 8% is a bit much. The 2 or the 4 are probably closer to my taste, although it's a little bit hard to tell just in the test tiles. In the last video where I made these test tiles, there was a question about the additives staying in suspension in the slip, and it looks reasonably good that they were. You can see a couple of artifacts in these test tiles, like here it looks like there's a few pouring lines, here there's a faint spot. Some of them on the backside, there's less of a pronounced speckle. So it does seem that some of the slip is being absorbed into the plaster just as a raw slip, and underneath of it, the speckles are being hidden a little bit. So that may be something to do with my process. It may be inherent in the way this works. I'm not exactly sure. But I did notice that in a couple of these test tiles, especially when the percentages were higher. So I think this is a good first step in trying to get speckles into my clay body. I think it's interesting. I'm not too sure it's quite dialed in yet. In particular, the stark contrast of my very white clay against the speckles, I think is a little bit off. The other thing I haven't done yet is glaze any of these, so I don't know what the glaze is going to do. It will likely interact with the speckle material underneath. You tell me which of these is your favorites. Again, this is ilmenite and this is rutile, going from 1, 2, 4, and 8%. If you have any questions or thoughts about this process, please leave a comment below.